Hey everybody, hope you're having a great day today. Before we get started with today's video, I want to thank everybody. We're at 21,400 subscribers, and also want to remind you that you can become a member to the channel for just 99 cents a month. It's an easy way to support the content you like and also support the channel. Now, the MVP, VIP, and Pro versions will officially be gone the last day of February, so all of those perks are going to drop over to the eBuzz Central member. Thank you guys so much for all the support, and thank you all for becoming members to the channel. Now, what we're going to do today is we just got finished with January. So what I put together today was a conglomeration of the best distros of January. So sit back, enjoy the videos, and if you've got any input, please drop that in the comments below. Vanilla OS. Now, this is the first point release of Vanilla OS. It's 22.10. And it's really an awesome distribution. It's in its infancy, which means it's just now starting to be in our radar of distributions that we need to keep an eye on. This one kind of has some things in common DNA-wise with Nitrux. Nitrux is more or less the root file system is immutable, point blank period. And on Vanilla, you've got almost an A-B type root system, so they do things just a hair different. But they're going down that same track, which is going to give you sustainability, it's going to give you stability, and it's going to give you the power to have a bulletproof operating system and have applications that aren't getting installed into the base root directories or interfering with any dependencies in there. Everything's going to be sandboxed away from itself. Now, Vanilla, it's designed to last over time and will always be faithful to you. Now, it is Ubuntu Linux based. It's a distribution that receives updates at the right time, neither before nor after. So it's not going to be a rolling release. And it's built for you to be able to work on, to game on. It's a complete distribution and it's going to offer you choices. Now, your system and your choices, basically what it is, it respects what you want to do and gives you full control over it. At the first start, you can choose which package format you want to use in Vanilla OS. Flatpak, snaps, app images, you choose, and Vanilla OS will take care of the rest, putting you in the situation to start you out without any problems. Now, you don't have to worry about Snap. If you don't want to use Snap, you don't have to use it. Flatpaks and app images are there. Now, immutable, but also it's not. When we talked about Nitrux the other day, that pretty much made the root system immutable. There was no in and out. It was just solidly locked down, and then you would do your applications outside of it. Vanilla OS is a mutable operating system. Core parts of the system are locked down to prevent unwanted changes and corruption from third-party applications or faulty updates. Some paths are still writable, such as the home and configurations directories. This allows the user to keep their files and ensure the normal functioning of applications. Core components are only updated via controlled and atomic transactions, which are applied only on success and made available on reboot. Now, I had a lot of people come into my comments on the previous video and say, this sounds nice, but what if we need to get in and fix something? What they're telling you here is once the system is locked down and it's updated, you shouldn't have to be in there fixing anything. Nitrux is a Debian base. This is an Ubuntu base. Nitrux has KDE. This is going to come in GNOME. So you've got a couple different options here if you're looking for something that's solid and stable. Now, if you come over to documentation, frequently asked questions, does it use OS tree? No, it doesn't use OS tree. It achieves its immutability through AB root. Previously achieved through almost, but they're not using that anymore. Core components, APX, ABR root, VSO. Contributing, packaging, apps for Vanilla OS require some considerations and guidelines to be followed, but they do have a little bit of documentation over here you can read. Let's back it up a little bit. And then you do have your handbook. Let's open that up. It's got Vanilla OS installation, first setup, update, and upgrade. So let's go back to the main screen. Okay, and one more thing I want to point out, go all the way down to the bottom. Just like with Nitrux that I covered the other day, this does have the availability to use DistroBox in it. Now, the only thing that I'm going to point out between Vanilla and Nitrux, like I said, Nitrux is Debian, Vanilla is an Ubuntu base. Nitrux has a few more tutorials on their website that helps walk you through how to get things like DistroBox working. So I hope Vanilla in the future puts those steps on their website so it'll make things a little bit more easier for the community to use and for people that are using the operating system to use. I think that's really important. So without any further ado, let's get on over to the desktop. Okay, we're booting it up right now. There's the Vanilla splash screen. Let's let it pop up. I'm opening this up in VirtualBox for some reason. GNOME boxes gave me a little bit of trouble, so we're just going to zip it on over in Virtual. We're going to try Vanilla OS. Let's go ahead and click on that. And we will go ahead and do a search for settings. There's settings. Let's go ahead and get the display fixed so we got the right resolution. Let's come over here, 1920 by 1080. Let's go ahead and apply that. Keep the changes, and we will close. And there it is right there. If you download Vanilla OS, throw it on a USB, open it up in a virtual machine, this is what you're going to be looking at. Now, I do want to point out that it is GNOME 43. So you're going to have your power button up here, settings, screenshot. You're going to have your output volume right here. And then if you click on this little arrow, it'll give you all of your selections for output audio. So if you've got an internal speaker like on a laptop, or if you've got external speakers hooked up that you have running off that laptop, you can select whatever you want your output to be right here. Let's go ahead and click back out of that. You've got wired. You can set it up for a balanced mode is where it is right now. Now, if you wanted to go to power saver, you could, but I'd leave it on balanced. Then you've got dark mode and then night light. Now, if you click on dark mode, as you can see, it changes everything a little bit. I kind of like the look in dark mode a little better. I think I'll leave that. So, and then you've got your calendar over here, and then your notifications, and then today's events. And then if you can click on that to get your activities to drop up, or you can hit the super key, which will bring it up right there. Now, what I want to do real quick is I want to go ahead and run a top, see what kind of resources we'll be using. Let's go ahead and maximize that so everybody can see it. And we will go ahead and make that a little bigger. And as you can see, with just the terminal open and resting, you're running about a gig of memory, which is about right for GNOME. I usually have it run anywhere from 850 to 1 gig, and then on KDE, it usually runs somewhere between 750 and 1 gig. It is a little bit heavier than some distros, but it is what it is. Now, another difference, Vanilla OS uses System D, and Nitrux OS uses OpenRC, so that's going to be different. If you're somebody that likes System D, Vanilla OS might be it for you. If you're somebody that wants to lean away from System D, then you might want to lean more towards the Nitrux. So you've got a little bit of options there. So let's go ahead and close out of this. And yes, we'll close. Go ahead and bring that back up. And then down here, you've got Install Vanilla OS. Let's go ahead and open that up and look at the installer. And as you can see, it's a little different. You could come over here and click on install, and it's going to go search for a language, or you can pick it here. And then your keyboard layout, date and time, you can set that up. And then select a disk. I'm on a virtual machine right now, so I'm not going to have that option. This is where you would select your disk, then create user, then go ahead and install it to your system. So as you can see, it's got a decent looking little installer. And what I'm going to do right now is just go up here and we're going to quit that. Now, if we come back down, let's go ahead and open up the web. And is this a Firefox? There's a Firefox sync. So this web browser is based on Firefox. I want to see what kind of search engine you're using right now. So I want to put in eBuzz Central. And it looks as though it is DuckDuckGo. So that right there will be awesome. And I am in a virtual machine, so it's taken a little longer to do that search. But I have noticed in the past, sometimes in GNOME and even with Firefox, in a virtual machine, it lags just a little, but no problem. Once you get it installed, you're pretty good. So there's your results from DuckDuckGo. And I do like when they use the GNOME web look with a Firefox base, because I like the cleanness of it. I really do. And then if you want to add another tab, you've got your tabs down here instead of up here. Some people don't like this. I do like it, but that's truly up to you and what you like. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. And then you've got your photos and then files. Of course, you know what files looks like. I like the way it looks. I like just the blue folders against the dark background. You got your usual suspects over here. You got your home folders right there. Let's close out of that. And then over here, you've got your software. Let's go ahead and open that up. And let's maximize that. Create software, diagrams. Then you've got your work software, learn, develop. Now, I am going to say this. Until you actually get it installed, this will not populate with a bunch of software until this has the opportunity to update. But this is where you would come to look for all of your applications and stuff like that once it got installed and updated. And then we can come back down here. You got help. Let's go ahead and open up show all applications. You got your extension managers. Let's see what they got. Out of the box, the extensions they have installed but not necessarily on during this video are applications menu, auto move windows, launch new instance, native window placement, place a status indicator, removable drive menus, screenshot window sizer, user themes, window list, window navigator, and workspace indicator. So you do have some that are installed but not necessarily turned on. So let's go ahead and close out of that. Then back down here, G-parted terminal system monitor, vanilla OS first setup. You can open that up if you want to. And I do believe that's just install. I could be wrong, but let's wait and see if that opens up. And this may be an application you have to run after you install it. So let's give it a couple seconds. Yes, and that's exactly what it is because it didn't even bother starting. So I'm not going to worry about that. And then you've got the vanilla OS control center. And right here, you'll have drivers, updates, and subsystems. So if you've got NVIDIA cards in your system, it's going to obviously give you the option here to either install the NVIDIA drivers or what other hardware you might have that needs drivers installed. Then it'll show whatever updates are available. And then, of course, your subsystem. So that's a nice little tool to have right there. And let's come back down here. And then let's open up utilities. You've got disks, image viewer, archive manager. Now, if you're somebody that wants a stable system and you want to have the ability to keep the base part of your system immutable, which means you can't mess it up. You don't have to worry about other applications getting in there and screwing it up. And then you can run all your applications in a sandbox away from your main system. Vanilla OS is definitely something to take a look at. And if GNOME isn't your cup of tea, maybe give Nitrux a shot. It's got KDE, a customized version of KDE. Now, I do want to touch on something real quick before I end this video, and please, everybody, please listen. I went to some message boards and things like that and heard people really bash the videos that I do. And I understand that my videos aren't for everybody. My videos aren't an in-depth look at any specific operating system. My videos give people out there a quick glance at them, a 10-minute look, and if it's something you like or something you think you might like, you can download it and go give it a try yourself. I do 12 in-depth videos a year, which means I do daily driver for a month, and then I'll do a base video on that to kind of show you what my experience was like with it. But I have a lot of people in message boards saying my reviews are crap because I don't even test drive these distros for a month and then do a review on them. If I had to test drive every distro I did a review on for a month, I would only get to do 12 videos a year. That's my opinion. Now, another thing I want to ask everybody viewing this video right now, this second, if you've got suggestions on things you would like to see me do in my videos, please drop those in the comments below. If you've got complaints about things that I do in my videos, please drop those in the comments below. I love criticism. Anything to make this channel better, I am willing to listen to. Good, bad, or indifferent, I want that information. Cachy OS is a distribution based on Arch Linux that offers easy installation, several customization options to suit every user, and special optimizations for improved performance while remaining simple. And then you go down here and they've got some screenshots of the KDE version. And what is Cachy OS? It's got optimized packages. All desktop packages are compiled with LTO. Desktop environments they offer: KDE, GNOME, XFCE, i3, bspawn, LXQT, OpenBox, Wayfire, and Cutefish. And it comes with the Calamares installer and the kernel support. Linux Cachy OS is using the Bohr scheduler and has a lot of performance improvements. They also provide other schedulers, which is the CFS, PDS, BMQ, Bohr, TT, Calcul. All kernels are compiled with x86-64 version 3 instructions and also available with LTO. And the default browser of Cachy OS is the Cachy browser. Then we scroll down, help us continue our work. You can support them on PayPal or Patreon. And then, of course, a fast and secure download. Took about 10-15 minutes for me to download it. Like I said, we've looked at the KDE version before. Today we're going to be looking at the GNOME. But when you go to download, it lets you know up here, you can install any edition provided by Cachy OS using any GUI ISO from the online installer. There's a part in the installation program that'll give you the option to pick what desktop you want to use. But on their main website, you can download KDE Plasma, GNOME, and XFCE. That is under construction. So pretty much without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get on over to the desktop. Now, if you download Cachy OS, throw it on a USB or put it in a virtual machine, this is the screen you're met with. And as you can see, they've got the main bar over here as opposed to on the bottom. And you can also hit the super key to bring up your desktops, or you can go back. But I do like the fact that this is pinned right here, and I don't have to hit a super key to bring that up. And you do get the Cachy OS Hello, which I love about all Linux distributions that integrate this. It gives a new user or a brand new person to Linux a welcome. Here we are. Here's some base information that'll help you out. And it's kind of easy to get around. It's got documentation. You've got the README, release info, and the wiki. And then, of course, support. You got the forums and software project. You can get involved, help with development, donate, or you can launch the installer. So if you launch the Calamares installer, it gives you a choice, offline or online. Now, if you go with the online, it's going to give you a couple more options. And now that that's opened, you can see that we're in a virtual machine. So you'll see right here that it says there's not enough drive space and there are no partitions to install to. But if you come down here, it says welcome, location, keyboard, partition, and it gives you an option for desktops. Right here is where you're going to select what desktop you want it to install once you install it. And then, of course, packages you would like to have pre-installed, and then your user information summary, install, and finish. So it's your base Calamares installer. It's going to show you all that information. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this at the moment. Yes, I do want to close. And we are done with the Cachy OS Hello. So we'll close out of that. And as you can see, if you come up here and click, it's got the new layout. So we are on GNOME 43, which is great. But you got a little bit more options up here than you used to in GNOME. You've got power, lock, of course. Then you've got your settings, screenshot tool, volume right here. And then you've got this little arrow out here. So you can click on that and it gives you all your options right here for your sound output. Now, if you had a microphone, it would also have the microphone logo here and a selection to pick whether you wanted to use an external microphone or maybe the one that's built into your laptop. And then you've got balanced dark mode. You can shut that off and it'll go to light mode or dark mode. Then you've got balanced, night light, and a wired connection. Now, if we right click on the screen, you can change the background and you do have different options over here. You've got the default and then you've got dark. If you wanted to switch to dark or the default, you could, but right now I'm going to leave it on dark. And then also opens up your base settings on the system. While we're here, what I want to do is go ahead and go to About, and we will open that up, and it lets you know it's Cachy OS. I've got 7.8 gigabytes of memory issued to it, and then an AMD Ryzen 9 processor. Right now, graphics or software rendering, and it's a rolling release, 64-bit. 43.2 is the GNOME version, and the windowing system is X11. Now, what I would like to find out is what kernel we are presently using. So let's go ahead and do a search for the kernel. There's the Cachy OS kernel manager. We'll open that up and we'll bring it out here. And we are presently using 6.1.2-3, and it is stable. Now, you do have the option to come in here and pick any kernel that you would like to use. I do like that about Cachy OS and a couple of other distributions out there, but they don't hold back. They're not like a Manjaro. You're not running a little older kernel or older packages, so you've got that control right here. But that's in the kernel manager, and you can find that in your app menu. Now, we also have the terminal over here. Let's go ahead and open up the terminal because I do want to see if they have HTOP, and we'll go ahead and run that. They don't. Let's see if they have top, and they do. Let's go ahead and make that just a little bigger so everybody can see. And right now, like I said, I've got 8 gigabytes of RAM issued to this machine. At present, we're using about 740 with the terminal open, which isn't bad at all. Specifically seeing how we are in a virtual environment, so there might be a little bit more of the operating system running in RAM. But once you get it installed, I figure you're going to hover somewhere between 600 and 800, which is getting really good because anybody out there knows that it used to be GNOME was lighter, and then it started getting heavier, and then KDE was real heavy, and then it started getting lighter, and it's kind of reversed now. Both of them run pretty light, and when I say light, I mean they run less than a gig, and I have a lot of people out there that'll blow up my comments saying, less than a gig, heck, 200 megabytes is what I'm running. Well, that's great, but some of us like more than just a command line or a windowing system. Some like a desktop environment, and you have to give up a little bit in resources. But at the end of the day, you're still using less than 3 gigabytes of RAM, which is generally what Windows uses. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. And we will come back over here, and then you've got your Cachy browser. Let's go ahead and take a peek at that. Now, this is their own browser. And I do believe it's built on the Web GTK, or is it a spin? No, this is based on Firefox totally. So we will go ahead and maximize that. And it seems that you've got canvas presets and dark reader. So you got a dark mode out of the box. I do like that layout there. And then up here, What else do we have? We got Canvas Blocker, uBlock Origin. So you've got some security right out of the box. So if we go over here and we do a search for eBuzz Central, let's see what search engine they're using. They're using Woogle. That is awesome. I like that. If you're not familiar with Woogle, you get all the advantages of Google, but you're not giving up your information and you're not letting them track you constantly. You're going to still have trackers, I do believe, but they will not be directly from Google inside of their search environment. So you've got eBuzz Central here, which is YouTube, Twitter, Patreon. So that's a pretty good search. And we'll go over here and we'll go ahead and go to the next page. There's some images there. So you've got a pretty decent environment right here. I do like the way they set this up. I do like the fact that they're using Woogle and they've kind of customized their own browser. I wish it had the home button, but we should be able to go over to more tools, customize toolbar. And can we? Yeah, you can put the home button up there. That's no big deal. So we'll drop that right there. Then we can close out of that, go home, and that pops up right there. So definitely take a look at it. I like the fact that they're using Firefox as a base. Now we will come over here. You do have your file manager, which is files. We'll scoot this over, and it's not a lot to talk about here. You've got your usual suspects over here, your home folders right here. So pretty much stays out of your way, lets you get your job done. They have added a lot of features back that they took out for a while, and they've brought them back, so I'm glad GNOME's doing that. Let's go ahead and close out of that. And then down here you have your system monitor. Let's see how close it is to what we pulled up on the terminal. See, it's showing that we're using 1.3 gigabytes. So it's using a little bit of memory to run the operating system in a virtual environment. Now I do want to go over here. Let's open this up. LFTP. Let's scroll. You've got Parole Media Player. What do we got under accessories? You do have your extensions manager. Let's see what kind of extensions they're running out of the box. We'll go ahead and make that a little bigger. App indicator and case status notification. Dash to dock, of course. GNOME 4X user interface improvements. And we're running the pop shell. So that's pretty interesting. They're using the pop shell inside of Cachy OS with an Arch base. I like that. So let's go ahead and close out of that. Let's pop back over here. Let's scroll over. Firmware, Archive Manager, Text Editor, Cavanta Manager. Then you've got disks, tweaks. If you're not familiar with tweaks, it's just another way to make changes to GNOME that aren't available in their regular settings menu. So you've got a lot of different things you can do there. So let's close out of that and come back up. And then system tools. We got Cachy OS Hello, the kernel manager we've seen. It comes with Octopi. Let's go ahead and open that up. And Octopi is a lot like Synaptic Package Manager. It's a type, search, and install type package manager. Let's do a quick search real quick for something like Krita. And there is Krita right there. I do like the fact of how quick that was. We can mark it for install. You can come down here and pick optional things that you would like to install with it. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to click OK. And once you have that selected, all you got to do is click this green arrow right here and it would install for you. So that's how quick Octopi can install. Do you really want to quit? Yes. So I do love Octopi. And then we'll come back down to system tools. You got Alacrity, install your system, Cavanta Manager, Cachy OS package installer. Now this right here is also what you'll see when you run the Calamares installer. Once you get to this, you can come over here and pretty much pick certain applications you would like to install. And you can go through here and pick as many as you want. You can come down here and click install and it will install them all at once. Now, if you select this during the install process with the Calamares installer, you will just select them, go ahead and create your user info. And then when you install the system, it'll go ahead and install those packages for you. Right here, it's got different repos and the different items that are in those repos. And then, of course, Flatpaks. Now, it says Cachy OS includes this repository of Flatpaks for the user's convenience only and is not responsible for the functionality of the individual Flatpaks themselves. For more, consult Flatpaks and Wiki. Basically, what they're telling you is they've included Flatpaks, and if you should have any issues, it's not on the development team of Cachy OS. That would have to be something you would point towards Flatpaks. So let's go ahead and close out of that. We will come back over here, come back down to System Tools, Fish, we've already looked at that, Octopi Cache Cleaner, and I do believe that's it inside of there. And we will go back up here And like I said, it's really nice the way they've got it set up. I think Cachy OS is really on the ground running with becoming another Arch distribution that people can lean on, like a Garuda, like a Manjaro. Even though I do have issues with Manjaro, the way they hold things back, they say it's for stability, but I think sometimes them holding things back causes more problems than it does stability. So, what do y'all think? Is Cachy OS doing a good job? Are they creating desktop operating systems that you yourself want to try out or maybe install and use as a daily driver? Let me know in the comments below. And the distro I'm speaking of is Nitrux Linux. Now, Nitrux has been a very interesting distribution I've looked at over the last 18 months. They've done different things here and there to change things up, but I think this release definitely brings stability to a Linux distro like never before. I know we get a lot of people out there that they try Linux and then they'll start messing around or they'll start installing things on it, and the next thing you know, it's broke and they don't want to talk about it anymore. They just want to get away from it and they just want to go back to Windows because they don't have to worry about Windows systems breaking. Well, blue screens of death have been pretty much weeded out by Windows, but what do you do if you want to go to Linux and have that same stability? Have that same feel safe moment that once you get it set up, you don't have to worry about breaking it. I think Nitrux delivers that, and I think it delivers it in spades. So what we're going to do now is, this was just released. I'm going to go over and we're going to look at the release announcement because there's a lot of great information in here, and I'm going to go over it rather quickly. I know some of the viewers out there say they hate it when I go through the website, but I'm doing what most of you all will do. If you're investigating a Linux distribution, you'll go over and check out the website, find out what it's about. And I like to do this because sometimes people don't look at the release announcements. So it just says, today is the day. Nitrux 2.60 FF is available. And it's going to have a lot of different things we're going to talk about. Right out of the box, it comes with the 6.1.0-2.1 Licorice kernel. Now, what is the Licorice kernel, you may ask? Well, the Licorice kernel is a distro kernel replacement built using the best configuration and kernel sources for the desktop, multimedia, and gaming workloads. It includes the Zen interactive tuning, which tunes the kernel for responsiveness at the cost of throughput and power usage. It also comes with the PDS process scheduler, which is a fair process scheduler for gaming, multimedia, and real-time loads, high-resolution scheduling, which is 1000 Hertz tick rate for precise low jitter task scheduling. And it comes with preemptible tree-based hierarchical RCU, which is implementation for real-time systems. And then a hard kernel preemption, which is the most aggressive kernel preemption before requiring real-time patches. Budget Fair Q, which is a proper disk scheduler. TCBBR2 congestion control. It's a fast control that maximizes throughput, guaranteeing higher speeds than Cubic. Compressed swap. The swap storage is compressed with LZ4 using ZSwap. Multi-generational LRU, which is an alternative LRU algorithm. Binary builds for popular Debian distros, which is Debian stable, testing, unstable, Ubuntu, Linux PPA, same day within hours updates. And distribution kernel drop-in replacement. Proper distribution style configuration supporting the broadest selection of hardware. And it's already in there. So that's what the Licorice kernel is. Now, if we get back over to the announcement, it shows you things that have been updated. KDE Plasma 5.264 is used. Firefox 10.0.1 is used. They've updated the Mesa, and they've added Pipewire and Wayland by default. Now, it is important that if you're using an NVIDIA GPU that you check the KDE wiki instructions to use the Plasma Wayland session. And if you look right here, you just click on that, and it will take you right over and show you how to take care of all that. It's right there in the release notes, and it makes it easy for you. Now, when you log in, you're going to hear a pop sound. This is not a bug. It is a test to ensure that Pipewire is working. Now, you can replace that noise with any sound that you want, and it tells you the directory right here that you can replace that with. They've enabled FlatHub by default. They've added Samba. Here's where I think they're making the stability of Linux #1 priority. They've set the state of the root directory to be immutable using overlay root. Now you may ask, why would they do this? Well, this change allows them to provide new versions of the distribution with a higher degree of certainty that no changes have occurred to the root that might cause a conflict down the line, and also to avoid sudden issues from upgraded packages coming from a different origin than our repository, which we have minimal way of controlling. So basically what they're saying is they're going to give you this system. The root system is going to install and update itself, but other than that, there won't be programs sharing dependencies across the operating system. So you're going to have your system set up, you're going to have everything locked down, and then the applications that you install on it will not interfere with that root system. And they want you to check detailed and updated instructions and notes to perform distribution upgrades. They got a link right here for that. They've updated their settings in Calamares to do the following. Calamares now creates a custom layout when selecting the option Erase Disk. This layout is intended to accommodate the new update process. And the layout assigns a partition size and percentages, 20% for root, 60% for home, 10% for two partitions, which will be your Flatpak and applications library. Do note that because of how Calamares works, it will allow you to select the replace partition option if you have a partition with enough space that meets the size requirement. They've also added Pulse Audio Equalizer, and they got a picture of it right here. And they've updated the default overview in Plasma to show the list of processes instead of applications, as the latter only works with systemd, and thus it does not work in Nitrux. And they've added packages with debug symbols for the following software, which is Kwin and LatteDoc. And they've fixed or closed following issues in the distributions. They've fixed the Calamares launcher on the desktop live session. They've moved to Pipewire number 37, touchpad gestures not working in live session, and moved to Wayland. Those are all taken care of. They've removed the following components from the distribution. Now, those with keen eyes might notice that they're calling this version FF. But what does that mean? It stands for Forbidden Fruit, and it's the first time they've ever used a code name on the distribution. The peculiar choice of the code name is because this version of the distribution can be seen as an antithesis to the conventional Linux distribution, where a distribution is entirely devoted to its package manager. Across several different distributions, we got package managers everywhere. And sometimes you run into issues when you download and add things to your system that could break it. They've got rid of that. It works to drive the point home that in this distribution, app images are the preferred method of adding new application, and where an app image is unavailable, they have the Flatpak option available. Admittedly, before everybody starts hitting stop on this video or running over towards Nitrux with their torches, be mindful that users can still use a package manager. In fact, users can use any package manager to install new software, just not directly in the root directory. To do this, you're going to use DistroBox. And what they do is you come over here and click, and they give you a great tutorial on how to install DistroBox right on your system, and then how to install software using DistroBox. I think this is completely and utterly perfect. What you don't want is to get your system set up and then have some willy-nilly application you download break your system. We all have went through it. We have all had that issue. By keeping the apps in their own containers and away from the root directory, you're bringing stability directly to your Linux distro. Thumbs up twice to Nitrux for doing this. So let's go back. Now, users can use a container of any Linux distribution once you get DistroBox set up. Arch, Fedora, Debian, OpenSUSE, Nitrux OS, Gentoo, and whatever packages you want to use out there. Once you have DistroBox set up, it doesn't matter what distro is supported by those packages, this distribution will run it. DistroBox also allows users to export software that uses a desktop launcher so that it's automatically integrated into the application menu, even picking up the artwork from the host, like application themes and icons. Because DistroBox is considerably easy to use and intuitively transparent to the user, there are no plans to add a wrapper to use it. And then you come back down here. Future releases of the minimal ISO with JWM are discontinued, as it did not meet the expectations they had set forward. And again, before marching down with torches and anger, this change does not mean that users cannot install other desktop environments in Nitrux. please check their tutorial for an update. You've got a tutorial right here for that. They put everything plain and simple, and they tell you how to use something. If you want to use it, they give you instructions on how to use it. This is perfect. I've known distributions in the past that have said, we're not doing this anymore, and you just can't do it. And we had to go online and search Google or DuckDuckGo and find out, how do we get this application, or how do we use this package? You don't have to worry about that anymore. They're telling you it's not in the distribution, but if you want to use it, here's the instructions on how to do it. And then download your ISO, FOSS, Torrent, SourceForge, and OSDN mirror. And then down here, known issues, notes, report bugs, changelog history, resources, and posted release announcements. So what we're going to do now that I've went over that is we're going to zip on over to the Nitrux desktop. And this is it right here. Now, this didn't come out of the box with this wallpaper. I changed it because I know a lot of people don't like their default wallpaper, so I didn't even want to hear my comments blowing up about that. But here is what the desktop looks like. And the first thing I want to do is let's go over to settings, and I want to verify some information here. So let's go down to About System. And yes, it is KDE Plasma 5.26.4, and there's your kernel, the 6.1.0-2.1- Liquorix AMD 64. So you've got the Liquorix kernel out of the box. And as you can see, you've got your global menu up here. So you've got settings here for your settings, and then system settings. Let's go ahead and minimize that back down. And then you could just make it big. And it's got the old layout. Now, if you wanted the different classic KDE layout, you can go with that if you want to. Or you can switch to icon view. I'm going to leave it in icon view because that's how they want it out of the box. But you've got your base settings right here. So you're running a strong kernel. So let's go ahead and close out of that. And if you come down here, you've got your configure button. You can click on that and it brings up your different desktops. Or you can do a search right here for anything that you want. There's GIMP. You could go online and create images, or you can get it in the software center. You can get BleachBit. So that's just something that you can do there. And then you've got your app menu right here, which you've got quite a few beautiful apps. You've got the Agenda app, which is your calendar app, which is a very beautiful app. And what I do want to point out here is let's go over to Bonsai. You can open or clone an existing repository with Bonsai, but I just want you to look at the beauty of all of these applications across it. I love the way they all go together, and they just go with the consistency of the flow that they're using. And then you've got your global up here. And one thing I do like about it, if you click on that, I love the animation where it drops it forward, behind. I love that. And let's go ahead and close out of that. And let's close out of that. Come back down here. You've got Clip, which is for your movies. You got Index, which is your file manager. And I love the layout of this file manager. I have a lot of people that sometimes say they dislike it. They don't like the way it looks. They wish they had everything listed over here as opposed to icons. But what I generally do is I just come up here and click on the Nitrux button, and it gives me all my layouts right here. I can click on Nitrux. It brings me over to my home folder. Go back up here. You can go to Documents. And nothing in here. You can place documents in there if you want to. Pictures. So you've got a quick way to get where you need to go, and a quick way to get what you need to get done. Now, I do like here, 7 January 2023. It shows you that there's 31 days in January. And then videos, music, documents. So you've got your usual suspects right here. So let's go ahead and close out of that. Now I want to drop down here. We just looked at the file manager. This right here will be their package manager. Let's go ahead and open that up. And right now, let's go ahead and maximize that. I do love the layout of this store. Now remember, everything in here is going to be app images. And pretty much everything that I've looked for, I've found. Let's go ahead and look for GIMP. And as you can see, GIMP pops up right there. Let's go ahead and see if they've got Krita. And there's Krita right there. I had some people in previous videos say, hey, could you stop looking for GIMP and do a search for something like Krita? And of course, let's look for Kdenlive. So as you can see, most of the applications that you're going to be using are going to be easy to find, and they're going to be easy to install, and they're going to not mess up your root directory. They're not going to install something that could possibly crash your system. So that's a quick look at their store. So let's back up here. Down here, you also have Maui apps, which is their shell that they're creating for mobile devices. So that way you're going to be able to have tablets that have something like the Maui shell with Nitrux on them, and phones with Maui shell with Nitrux on them. It's going to make things cross over a lot easier. And then down here, you've got newest popular games. You've got game emulators, OpenRA, and then most popular on Google Chromium, OBS screen recorder. So you've got a lot of different things down here, and that's going to be one of the first things I install when I put this on my backup laptop is Stacer. I just love that. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of their Software Center. Then you've got Firefox. Then you have Nota, which is your text editor. You can come in here and edit any text that you want to. And then down here, you open that up. That's for playing your music. That's for playing your videos. And like I say, they look really good across the board. And even there, they kind of swap. I like that. So that's impressive. I do like the animations that they got going on right there. System settings, we've already looked at. And like I said, you can switch that over if you want to. Let's come back over here. Let's go ahead and go back into our apps. You've got your NVIDIA server. If you've got an NVIDIA card, it will detect it in here. And then, of course, you can go over and adjust your settings in NVIDIA server. Now, remember, to set it up with Wayland, they've got instructions right there on their website on how to do that. Let's come back down here. KDE Partition Manager, KCalc, install itch.io, install Steam, install Nitrux. And they've got a customized version of the Calamares installer. As you can see, welcome, location, keyboard, users, partition, summary, and install. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you've installed any Linux distro before, you know those steps. And let's close out of that. Yes, I do. And let's come back up top. And then you've got install bottles. If you want to do that, your NX Software Center we looked at. Nitro Share is the easy way to share between different computers and electronic devices. And as you can see, it's up here. They've got instructions on how to use that on their site as well. Or we can come over here and exit and just shut it off. Picks for your pictures, Pulse Audio Equalizer. Let's open that up. And there it is right there. Got a nice looking look to it. Let's go down here and you can adjust it if you want to. But I'm not using a microphone in here right now, so that shouldn't be an issue. Come back down. Shelf, which is a nice document editor. It's quick document editor because this doesn't come with an Office suite, but you can download one. That's not an issue at all. You've got Spectacle for screenshots, V-Wave we looked at, CPU settings, and then of course your system monitor. Let's pull that up. And as you can see down here, you've got Latte Dock, Plasma Shell, KWin, and then you've got application processes, and then IO, GPU utilities, and then of course your overview. Let's go ahead and close out of that. And then you have Strike. So I'm going to back out of this. And I'm just going to tell you, everybody, this is a solid Debian distro. It's running a Liquorix updated kernel. What more could you ask for? The stability of Debian, a powerful kernel to help with multimedia and gaming, a lockdown root directory that will not be affected by any applications or any changes that you want to try to make, but at the same time, giving you open access to run a solid, lightning-fast Linux operating system. Nitrux Linux. Zip on over. I'll make sure the link is below so you can download it and take it for a test drive, throw it on a USB, open it up in a virtual machine, heck, install it on an old laptop and take it for a spin. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. Big Linux. When you talk about Big Linux, it's got a base of Manjaro. They don't hold packages back, and it's a rolling release, and it just is very impressive. It's a Brazilian distribution, and if you come to their website, which is biglinux.com.br, I'll be sure to put that link in the description below, you kind of get a little bit of information about it. You can download it, solving your needs. It even works without installing, which a lot of Linux distributions do. It goes over Office software, web apps, online conversations with quality, games, remote access, restore points, thousands of programs, more space for your files, integration with your smartphone, stunning performance. It's free. It's always up to date. You can get it in 29 different languages. You can run Android apps inside of it. You can convert and resize it, multiple desktop configurations. And I know that is available on other distributions out there. I like the way it's integrated into Big Linux, but it makes things a little easier. So if you're somebody that has been like on a Manjaro and you just don't like some of the quirks you get with Manjaro, Big Linux gets rid of all those issues for you. And then you can come down to the bottom. It shows supporters, and then of course the main volunteers and frequently asked questions. Then if you go to the top, you've got download, support, photos, videos, news, others, contribute, contact. And seeing how it does have a base of Manjaro, you're going to have an Arch base, but it's a great distribution that I have been running on a backup laptop for a long time now, and I'm really, really impressed. Now, it did start off years ago, I believe, based on Kubuntu, then it switched to Deepin, and then it switched over to Manjaro. But like I said, they have taken a lot of the quirks out of it, and it makes it easier. But like, you know, you go to DistroWatch, you got this great, great operating system that really gets no love. And if you go up here and you put in Big and go do a search for it, the last time they updated any information on it was 12/2 of 2022, which is over a month ago. And then if you scroll down, the most recent release it's going to show you is 2/7/2022. So they've had a couple releases since then. So that's one of the reasons I kind of tend to shy away from DistroWatch to get information on newer releases or distribution news in general. I usually have to do a lot of searching online, pin those websites to a favorites. That way I can always go get the information myself. So just be careful when you're using DistroWatch. It doesn't always give you the most recent information or give you the information on distros out there that are really making a difference. So what we're going to do real quick is I'm going to close out of this, and I'm going to zip on down here to boxes because I've already got Big Linux open inside a virtual machine, and I'm going to pick my language, which is United States. And then I want to pick my layout. I'm going to go ahead and probably go with, I don't want to go with dark. I've had people in my videos say, please leave it light so I can see what's going on. So I'm going to go with fluent. And then what kind of layout? I will probably just go with the classic, but you do have the K Unity, the new, the next generation, which is kind of giving you a little bar in the middle, then your modern, and then of course your Desk X, which will have, looks like a latte dock. I'm going to go ahead and go with the classic and let that open up for us. I will have to adjust the resolution. I'm going to go ahead and go full screen up here. And then let's go ahead and come down here to settings. And let's look up settings real quick. So that way we can adjust the resolution. And we will put in display. And click on that. And come down here and adjust the resolution. So 1920 by 1080. Let's go ahead and apply that. Much better. We can see that much better. Let's go ahead and close out of that. And there's your desktop. Now, if you download this, throw it on a USB, open it in a virtual machine, this is pretty much what you're going to be taking a look at here. Let's go ahead and close that. As you can see, you've got one single panel down here. You got a nice little background. I do like the icon theme that they're using for this. Kind of gives you a light blue, kind of a see-through. I enjoy that. Let's go ahead and close out of that. First thing I want to point out is the control center. Let's go ahead and open that up. And when it opens up, it tells you good morning. And then you've got a lot of different things you can do right here from the control center. You've got control over themes, desktop and settings, restore the program configuration, and then of course system and hardware information. So if you wanted to change themes, you could just click on open, and it's going to bring up the nice little thing that you had at the beginning. You've got your themes, you've got your desktop, and then you've got your settings, performance mode, if you want it in performance mode, browser accelerations, Brave configuration, choosing programs to load into memory during boot, and a couple different settings down here. I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. And then you've got restore your program configuration, system and hardware information. Let's go ahead and open that up. And then you can enter your password to generate a more complete report. Now, because I'm in a virtual machine, this is probably not going to give me all the info that I want. So I'm not going to really concern myself with it, but it's CPU, it's AMD Ryzen 7. RAM, I've got 4 gigs issued to it. And then videos, Red Hat Inc., QXL, Paravirtual graphic card. And then we can come down here and it's got your system installed on partition, partition size, space used, clear space. And then the kernel in use is 6.1.7-1-Manjaro. So we'll go ahead and close out of this. And then you've got other stuff down here. You've got add and remove users, install drivers and firmware, install kernel versions, Introduction to Big Linux, monitors and screens, printers, restore installed system settings, snap drop, snapshots and backups, and then of course your sound and microphone. And then over here you've got network and internet, phone, Android, AirMore, Android application support, snap drop, KDE Connect. Then you've got customize. You've got your Phantom Manager and all that in here. Multimedia, accounts, devices, your system itself. Now, if you wanted to open up a terminal, let's see if they have NeoFetch on here. And they do have NeoFetch, so let's go ahead and make that bigger and also make it bigger so you can see it. And it shows you that you're on Big Linux. We've been up for 9 minutes. How many packages you have from Pacman, Breeze, terminal font. It's got the Ubuntu terminal font, but that just gives you some base information there. So let's go ahead and close out of that. So if you download this to give it a test drive, please take a look at their control center. So let's close out of that. Now I want to right click, configure desktop and wallpaper. Let's see what kind of different wallpapers we have in here. You've got quite a few that are very beautiful. And not all of them are just your base KDE wallpapers. You got some that are darker like that. I kind of like that. I think I'll leave that up there. Close out of that. Apply it. And I'm going to right click down here, configure task manager. You can change things up down here for your task manager. I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. It's KDE. Everybody's pretty familiar with it. Now, you do have a single panel down here. You've got your date and time. Then, of course, you've got your hidden icons that have a lot of different applications in here. Everything from notifications all the way to KDE Connect, USB, internet, sound, and, of course, switching desktops. If we come over here to the left, you've got minimize all windows. You've got Dolphin. Let's go ahead and open that up. And I'm not going to get too in-depth on Dolphin. I would, if it was me, make these a little bigger. Probably go with large. And then make that so I can see it a little better. That's just me. You got your usual suspects over here, and of course your home folders are right here. Go ahead and close out of that. Then it comes with Brave as your main browser. So let's go ahead and open that up. And I do like Brave. It is a good browser. Now I do want to see what are they using for a search engine. And it looks like they're using Google as a search engine. So that's something that you can change easily in settings. I'm not going to go in depth on that, but you can see what's going on there. So let's close out of that. Now, do they even have Firefox that comes with it? Firefox. It doesn't seem like they do. And now you come up here. Of course, you got games, card games, tactics and strategy, and then graphics. You got GIMP right there. Internet, Brave. So it just has the Brave browser, multimedia, Clementine, sound recorder, comes with the LibreOffice suite, add and remove software. Let's take a look at this real quick. Let's see how we get software. And if you're familiar with PayMac, that is what you're going to get here. Now, what I do recommend is if you come over here, let's click on this, preferences and third party. It's already got AUR support enabled, and it's got Flatpak support enabled. So if you like using Flatpaks, it's already enabled on here. And then if you are somebody that enjoys using the AUR, that is definitely something that's already here as well. Then you've got use mirrors from, it's set for worldwide. I would leave it on worldwide, and I would refresh those. If you do install it before you start doing any updates or installing any software, go ahead and refresh these mirrors. And the easiest way to get there is right here. Hit those buttons, preferences, and then you've got general, advanced, third party. All those settings are in there. Go ahead and refresh those mirrors. Takes 2 or 3 minutes and you're good to go. We'll close out of that. But this is definitely a nice place to come and get great software. Let's look up Krita, see if they got Krita. Go ahead and hit enter, and it shows the official repositories right there. Now, this is one of the things I enjoy about Big Linux, because if you sometimes run a live version of Manjaro or even other distributions out there, when you go to their little software center and start looking things up, it won't let you look them up. It tells you you've got to install it, then update the software center to be able to see what kind of software you can get. Right here, it's already set up that way. You don't have to worry about that. So let's go ahead and close out of that. And let's come back down here. We were on settings, control center. I've already showed you. Let's look at the big store. They've got their own little store right here. Let's go ahead and open that up. And it looks like it's got natives, AUR, and Flatpaks that can be listed in here. It's got browsers, email, cloud storage, office suites, PDF editors, graphics. Let's look up office suites. Let's see what kind of choices we got. You've got Libre, you've got Only Office, and you've got SoftMaker Office in here. That's not free, but it's there. And then you do have WPS Office in the AUR. Now, I do like the big store because generally what you get a lot of times on Arch-based distros is just PayMac and Octopi. But you can come over here and it's got a lot of different things for you to choose from. Now, if you just wanted to do a search up here, you could do a search for like Kdenlive. Let's go ahead and enter that, see if it pops it up. And it's right here. You've got it. Kdenlive, you've got it as an app image. You've got it on the AUR, and you can get it from a flat pack. Look at that. Native, AUR, and flat pack. So you've got several different ways to get software in this distribution, and it's easy to navigate and easy to get around. And then if you come up here, it tells you there's 2 natives, 4 in the AUR and 1 in flat pack. I really like that. So definitely take a look at that if you download Big Linux. Let's go ahead and close out of this. Let's come back down here. We were on settings. You've got system, and I want to go ahead and open the console because I do want to do an HTOP. Let's bring that up and let's go ahead and make it bigger so everybody can see it. And as you can see, I've got 4 gigabytes issued to this machine. Right now, we're using about 1.17 gigs with just the terminal open. That will go down a little bit once you install it. It should hover somewhere between 700 and 900 megabytes. It's not a lot, guys, especially if you just have a 4 gigabyte machine, you can still run Big Linux and it still be pretty fast for you. Now, if you start doing some kind of heavy video editing or stuff like that, you may see an issue with it. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this, and we will close that. Come back down here, and then you've got utilities, and then of course you've got your web apps. Now these right here, once you install the program and you want to add or you want to install web apps, you do. It's got everything from Amazon Music, Yahoo Mail, Netflix, Odyssey, Office 365. And if you want to add and remove web apps, you can click on the first selection up there. And it says right here, no web app added. If you wanted to add one, you could come over here. You could type in something like youtube.com. And then you could come down here and go with YouTube. And I'm probably going to have to put the full URL in. So let's go www.youtube.com. Detect name and icon. Let it go out there and find it for you. There's the icon. There's your web app icon. Go ahead and click add. Now that should add it to your system. And then you can close here. And then if you come over here, you should be able to go to web apps. And there is YouTube right there. That wasn't there previously. Now, you do have web apps for Google, which has got your calendar, classroom, contacts, docs, photos, slides, and it had YouTube and YouTube Music already down here. Now, you don't have to keep these. If you don't want web apps by Google, you can get rid of those and not worry about it. So that's not a big issue because some people, like me, don't like using Google. So those are really easy to get rid of. But I just wanted to point that out to you. And I want to go ahead and see what kind of installer they have. It looks like it's Calamares. Let's go ahead and double click that. And it has Calamares. It's a custom version of Calamares. Now you've got 3 different ways you can install it. Pattern, performance, compatibility. And it kind of gives you items here that shows you what's different between these. Like your performance, compacts the data, restore points, desys data recording, and works with old partitioning tables. This one doesn't. Now, the compatibility does work with old partitioning tables. You're not going to be able to compact the data, restore point, or desys data recording. And then on your pattern, you can compact the data, restore the point, but it's not going to desys data or work with old partitioning tables. So this one's BTRFS, this one's BTRFS, and this one is ext4. So it kind of gives you different options here, things that you can do. I love Big Linux. If you haven't given it a shot, I promise you, go down in the description, click on that link, go download it, throw it on a USB or open it up in a virtual machine. You'll be impressed. What do you think? Is it something you might try? Is it something you might take for a test drive? Have you used Big Linux? Is it something you're using now? Please give me your input. Let me know in the comments below. Do me a favor before you leave today. Please like the channel. Likes keep me in YouTube's algorithm, which means if you found the information in this video helpful, somebody else out there might as well. And subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. And if you end up not liking me, you can always unsubscribe. You also can become a member right here on YouTube for just 99 cents a month. But that's not all. We are also on Utreon, which you can become a member on at $2.99 a month, or Odyssey, which is $4 a month. You can also buy us a cup of coffee, maybe zip on over to PayPal and throw us a donation, or go over to Patreon and become a patron to the channel. All those links will be in the description below. As always, thank you for watching my video, and I will see you in the next video.